It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good, because we finally got another episode of Gundam Thunderbolt, which is desperately doing everything in its power to make it my favorite Gundam anime series. And you know what? It's kind of working. Sweet Zaku Balls, the most recent episode of Gundam Thunderbolt, was incredible! From beginning to end. What I loved so much about the second season is that they actually make E.O. Fleming somewhat of a likable character. In the first season, he was just a big douchebag, looking out for number one, and while he is still doing that, he seems to be growing attached to some of his brand new teammates. Case in point, Bianca Carlisle, who is just so damn fine. I don't talk about fan service too much in anime, because frankly, a lot of the times I think it just detracts from the overall experience, but I'll be damned if Bianca Carlisle isn't one of the most kick-ass and sexy anime characters that I've ever seen. Not only is she competent in a mobile suit, but she also happens to be an art enthusiast herself, not only having a love of jazz, but also a love of body tattoos. She's practically covered from head to toe. But enough about jazzy fan service. What's going on in this brand new episode of Gundam Thunderbolt? Picking up from the end of the last episode, E.O. Fleming is now a part of this Spartan group of the Federation who are hunting down the Zeon remnants, as well as this other alliance which originally existed within the Federation, but they're rising up because they have the Psycho Zaku from the very first season, a very powerful mobile suit, so of course the Federation has to get it back at any costs. And they get ready to go in search of them when they suddenly run into some Zeon soldiers in this amazingly kick-ass Arctic setting, which just leads to what I think is probably one of the most badass, knockdown, drag-out mobile suit battles that I have ever seen. It's really impressive when a Gundam anime can do something and show me something that I've never seen before. And that's a huge thing, because this is a freaking anime franchise which has been going on since the 70s. So this week's episode did a great job of blowing away my expectations of the action. So, basically what goes on in this episode is we get to spend some more time with the Federation soldiers, which I also like because it's a nice juxtaposition of the first season, where we spent most of our time with the Zeon forces, the Living Dead unit. Here we're spending more time with E.O. Fleming and his group. And you get to see immediately that both him and Bianca Carlisle just immediately hit it off. They have a strong love of music, jazz in particular, and they even have a nice little jam session set to something called Groovy Duel, which is a really great scene because I just love the atmosphere behind it of while they're playing, E.O. Fleming has these constant visions of the battles that he went into. I also really like the fact that they have an audience. All of the Federation soldiers are actually watching them, and I mean, how would you not? They're both amazing at what they're doing, with Bianca playing the keyboards and E.O. using the drums. It's a really hypnotic moment and really gets you pumped up to see what the rest of the episode is going to be about. And we even get a nice little sad story with the Zeons themselves. We get to see the forces they go up against have these two soldiers, one of them by the name of Kaufman, who recently lost his child at the very end of the war, in a very disturbing scene of him describing the fact that they actually lost their son after this huge attack before he was going to evacuate them to the Zeon homeland. And he describes actually having to pull his 6-month-old baby out from the rubble. And again, it's that classic thing about Gundam. Not everything is just completely black and white. It's not just good and evil. Both sides have ideologies that they fight for, and a lot of the times they have a good reason for doing it. It's just usually the higher-ups that sort of muck everything up. You also have this other soldier by the name of Bull, who is one of his companions, and he also happens to be a big fan of baseball. Why? Because his room is filled with a lot of creepy baseball bobbleheads. He even keeps one with him in his cockpit. He actually pilots this big, giant underwater mobile armor. And speaking of underwater, that's what's so damn special about this episode. We get not only a really kick-ass mobile suit land battle, but we also get to battle in the Arctic seas, which leads to a lot of imagery that I've never actually seen from an underwater battle in the Gundam anime series, like icebergs breaking apart and slamming into mobile suits. The amount of gore and visceral imagery that this series produces is absolutely nightmarish. There's a scene before the battle begins where there's this one reconnaissance ball, which is this little, like, circular mobile suit, is going around underwater looking for any enemy mobile suits, and it ends up getting caught by a GOG mobile suit, which just completely floods the cockpit and then finishes off the pilot, and you actually see, like, this thing's giant freaking pointy-ass claw just stabbing right through the helmet of this Federation soldier. It is terrifying. And then we're just treated to this ridiculously awesome action scene, which, frankly, I can't even do justice, but I will talk about some of my favorite moments. The first half of the battle is mostly devoted to Bianca going up against this GOG and this other group of mobile suits, and it's great because first it starts out on land and then they make their way in the water, which is pretty standard at first, and then eventually when they get up on land, this is when the animation just kicks to 11, where we have this great shot of the GOG, which is jumping up in the air, slams down on the ground, starts sliding across the ice, grabbing right onto her mobile suit, and she actually manages to escape from being grabbed by this mobile suit by using two of her beam sabers, burning the sides, jumping around, losing her leg, all in one swift motion. The animation here is just crispy as fuck. It looks so damn great. The shot of the GOG sliding across the ice using its claw to stop its momentum just looks so damn stellar. And it gets even better because right after that, we have this great scene where both of them have to lose their mobile suits, they get out, and Bianca, being the absolute badass that she is, decides that she's going to track this guy down even though he's not in his mobile suit and just shoot him right in the head. She gets surrounded by a lot of mobile suits, and then comes in E.O. Fleming with the Atlas Gundam, who just completely wrecks the freaking house. I love the jet boosters on this thing, the thrusters, which can, like, transform into a boat, an underwater vehicle, freaking skis if you want. They can do a lot of fun things with them with the fact that they can transform, and you get to see a lot of that in this episode when the Atlas Gundam goes underwater and displays why it's so damn powerful. It's an amphibious Gundam. It can go in the water, it can go on land, it can kick your ass anywhere. And this series has this incredible obsession with using the beam saber not in a typical way, where a lot of the times they just go full Star Wars mode with it. They usually ignite the beam saber, go into a cool pose, and then do something really cool with it. In this series, they don't ignite the beam saber until it's actually touching the enemy mobile suit. And this is something that E.O. Fleming loves to do, where he'll actually put it right into the cockpit of his enemies, then activate the beam saber, which just leaves this incredible effect. Another thing is that this series does not shy away from the violence. When you see someone get killed in the cockpit, it's usually pretty damn terrifying, like showing it actually flood with water as they drown and then suddenly it explodes. This is a series which does not shy away from the absolute terror that is real-life war. Real-life war with giant robots. But the episode ends with another nice action scene of the Gundam Atlas going up against Bull and his massive underwater mobile armor, which at first almost completely overpowers the Gundam Atlas, but it manages to escape and he finishes him with one beam saber blast, which sends him into the depths of the ocean where the pressure is so strong you actually see this giant mobile armor get crushed into like a little metal ball. And then you get to see that the Atlas Gundam has lost all of its power and it is starting to sink. He tries to use his beam sabers to throw himself up, and just as he's about to go to the bottom of the ocean, Bianca, of course, shows up in her Aqua GM. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Mobile Suit Gundam? Oh man, how do I even really summarize this episode's awesomeness from beginning to end? It's perfect! I mean, I love it. I love the atmosphere of the show and especially the music. It was especially fitting at the very end of the episode. We got this great montage after the end of the battle, all playing out to the tune of Feeling Good, a song made very famous by Nina Simone, and the version that I know the most is done by Michael Bublé. But we get a Japanese version of it in this episode, and man, it just fits so perfectly. I've always loved the jazzy sounds of Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt. They add a lot of distinctiveness to it, and frankly, it's just good to hear good music while you're watching something that looks really damn awesome. And this show has got style in spades. There was a lot of great development in this episode. I loved all the stuff with the Zeon soldiers, the death of Bull, and getting to see the reaction of Kaufman going into his room and seeing all of the bobbleheads. I loved the scenes with Bianca especially. We're starting to get into her character, who is maybe a little too bubbly. That's the only thing about her character. Like, there's definitely something behind her extreme happiness that we don't know about quite yet. She's just so damn peppy, and she even mentions that the reason she has those tattoos is because it's a constant reminder of all of her teammates, which I'm sure all ended in some sort of weird tragic event. I have a feeling that she's going to end up having some, like, extreme PTSD, but we'll have to see. Maybe that's something that E.O. Fleming is going to unlock. He does have the ability to bring out the worst in people, but then again, I'd really like to see what's going to happen if they start to form a relationship, which almost seems like an inevitability, and you can definitely tell that E.O.'s friend is really pissed off because, of course, he lost the train to town on that one. What more can I say? The action speaks for itself, the music is awesome, we're spending time with a few brand new characters who are pretty great, E.O. Fleming is a lot more likable, and it's all done with amazing animation, lots of style that just pumps you up. Gundam fans, if you're not watching this, what's wrong with you? Check it out, it's freaking great. It's Gundam Thunderbolt, that is right, and I'm giving this episode another 5 out of 5. So far, in my humble opinion, this has been a perfect Gundam anime series. Maybe it's because they have the extra time to work on the episodes, maybe it's because there's only so few and everyone has to count in its very own special way. All I know is this is a Gundam event which must not be missed. For me, this episode kicked ass, but I want to hear from you guys. Make sure to tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt in the comments section below. Are you keen on the new characters like Bianca Carlisle? Did you love the action scenes in this episode? Did you have a favorite moment? Like I said, way too many moments to even talk about. I'm just now reminded of that awesome scene where the Gundam Atlas was using its massive railgun, and you got to see the perspective of inside the barrel. It's little moments like that. Tell me about your favorite moments from the series, and what you hope to see from the rest of the second season of Gundam Thunderbolt. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all things Gundam anime related. And, of course, make sure to leave me a comment about the episode. I'd love to talk with you guys about it. If you liked this review, please hit the like button. Give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I'll see you guys next time. And, as always, stay dandy, baby.